Hi everyone, welcome to Blue Heron Hill. Down here in the basement in my seed starting area. My peppers are over here. That was my last video. They haven't germinated yet, but I think within another 3-4 days I think I may have little sprouts. What we're going to do today is, in this bag I've had, and it says right on there, Geraniums 2022. Well, there are no geraniums here for 2022, but there are geraniums that I put in here last year. Now, this looks really sketchy. It looks all dried out. There's the root system. There's barely any soil on these roots. But I do this every single year. Have a video, I'll post it up here or down there in the description below, on what I do when I dig my geraniums up in the fall. The price of geraniums to get a nice, big, beautiful selection or beautiful plant are very high. They keep going up and up, and instead of paying every year for new geraniums, I overwinter mine. And you simply pull them out of their pots, you dry the roots off, you pull all the dead leaves off, you store them I store them in a brown paper bag down here in my basement, which runs about 55 degrees, and it keeps them nice and cool. And they've been in this bag since early October. But you can see there are some little sprouts coming out, and even in a dark paper bag they were still sprouting. So what I do is, there are some little branches that didn't make it, so those get cut off because they're not going to do this plant any good at all. And I probably need to prune this just a tiny bit anyway to give it a better form. But all the dead stuff comes off, and then I'm just going to leave the more viable branches on here. And I have a few others here. Here's a larger one. Now this is going to be in need of a severe pruning, I think. I'm going to take, for instance, this whole branch down, I think, and I'll just cut this off, leave a few bud areas there, and I'll probably cut that, say, right there. Now, when I do that, this is still very viable. And I'm going to take this, stick it in a little rooting hormone, and give it a pot by itself. And I will have a new geranium from this. So I'm going to go ahead. I have lots more. Oops. Here's another one, which definitely needs some pruning because the branches are just overlapping. So the airflow in here is not conducive to a healthy plant when it goes out in the garden, whether it gets planted directly into the garden or in one of my gardening pots or vases or something like that. Anyway, I do see a few things that I may cut off. There you go, like that. Any of the dead wood, that was definitely dead. So there we go. And I think maybe I will cut this one off here. See how nice and green that one is? That one's nice and green, and it has 2 shoots on it. And I'll plant this in its own little pot also. So I'm just expanding my geranium collection from 1 plant to 3 plants. All right, I trimmed most of these back, and you can see at the point where it's still green on the interior part of the stem. Anything that's brown and brittle, that's not going to be viable. This one I cut way back. This whole shoot here, it came up quite far. You can see where I cut it off. That's pretty brown. And so I could probably cut it back at least to this node here. And that will be still viable. Let me see what I can do there. Yeah, see that one? It's green, so that's good. So this whole one is going to go into a pot like I have here, watered up, put into some sunlight. It's just potting soil that's been pre-moistened. I should just put a bunch in the bottom so those roots have something cushy to lay down on. And we're going to fill it to the level where it was when it was growing last fall. Now, if you wanted to last fall, if you had a windowsill in a cooler old bedroom or something like that, you could put your geraniums right from the outside, repot them in an indoor plant potter, and just bring them in and just water them, just so they get a little drink every once in a while. They'll get a little leggy and everything, and then you can cut them back at that time before you bring them back out into, better growing conditions in the springtime. But if you don't have that room, I think this is the ideal way to do it. So there's one all potted up. Working on another one here. This is a rather large one. Not really sure that maybe I shouldn't cut this one down a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I have a couple more big ones, but what I wanted to do is I have a lot of these stalks that I pruned off of these other ones. So I'm taking just a container, filling it with my medium here, and pre-moistened. Take my cutting, I'm going to dip it into water, and then I'm going to dip it into my rooting medium. Tamp off the excess. I'm going to make a little hole to accept that and stick it in there, and then firm down the soil around it. I'm going to put a couple in each pot, and then as they grow bigger, I will separate them into their own pots. But I have a bunch of them, so I've got you want to firm down the soil around them so it makes good contact with that cutting. So let me go and get this all done, and I'll be back with you and we'll wrap this up. So this is what I have here. I have 5 large geraniums and 3 pots worth of little cuttings that I will cross my fingers and hope that they make it, and I'll have plenty to spread around my yard for planting. It's about normally what I do. I know I have 5 pots that geraniums go into, and these will be a little bit of a bonus. So saving on lots of money there in this step, and especially if you don't have space in your house to bring them in, this is an excellent way to winter them over in a brown paper bag down in a cool area. If you don't have a basement, a closet would be helpful. I didn't even check on these since I put them in their bags back in early October, and just bringing them now in almost April. I almost forgot about them. So now's the perfect time to do them. Let them warm up. They have light and they have moisture, and they should start growing roots and feeding the nutrients up the stems into their leaves, and be ready to pot outside in probably mid-May. So I hope you give this a try. If you haven't, if you didn't get it into your plans last fall, maybe you'll be able to get it in this fall after you go to the nursery and buy a plant or two. And then with lots of extra cuttings, you'll have more for your next gardening season. So thanks for following along, and until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.